Hello, artist. It's Tuesday, June 9th. It is our 31st, 32nd day of drawing together. Welcome back. I hope you've been enjoying this beautiful weather we've been having. I think if it could stay this way year round, about 72 with a nice breeze or wind, it would be absolutely perfect. So I just hope it continues for some time. Okay, yesterday I was working on my billboard or my sign I'd like the world to see. I'm working on Martin Luther King Jr., and I haven't gotten very far with that. So I'm going to keep working on it, and I'm going to bring it back here sometime this week when I'm done. Maybe tomorrow, maybe a little bit later in the week. But I hope you're working on yours as well. Okay, so day 32. We are moving to prompt number 45. Draw courage. You are all so brave. Each and every day, and each and every one of you. Bravery doesn't have to look like a huge victory or a huge battle. It's every day, the things we do every day, the fears we overcome every day, the things we thought we couldn't do, and we find the strength in ourselves to do them. Vincent van Gogh said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" Wow, he wouldn't have painted all of those paintings. He wouldn't have painted A Starry Night or any of the other paintings that we know and love so dearly by him if he didn't have that courage. And remember, I talked about that earlier in the series, is that Vincent van Gogh sold one painting, or maybe two, but he made about less than $400 in his lifetime on all of the paintings, and he probably did hundreds of paintings. And now today, the Starry Night is valued at $100 million. So, you know, Vincent van Gogh was probably met with a lot of rejection, or felt a lot of rejection in his life, not selling his work until very close, like the last 7 months of his life is when he sold a work of art. And now today he is so valued and so sought after, and we see his work everywhere, in the bags that we buy, in the books that we buy, in reproductions we see on television. Throughout all of our culture and media, we see Vincent van Gogh's work. So think about the courage that it takes for you each day, and where you've been courageous in your life, even in the last days. Where has your courage been? There's an artist named Brian Andreas. He's from Iowa. He creates these works of art called Story People. So he's a writer and also a sculptor and a painter. And he creates these very contemporary looking story people made out of shapes and wire and blocks and color. And then he writes a little poem or a little sentence to go with each of them. And one of my favorites by him, I don't know the title, but I think it might just be Courage, says, "Anyone can battle a dragon, but wake up every morning and face the world again and love the world again. That takes courage." It takes courage to get out of bed every morning and to face the world again, especially in these really, really difficult times. You have courage to get up and to face the world and to face the people here at Oakwood. So you're so courageous and brave in so very many ways. Let's see. When I think of courage, I think of a lot of things. I think about people who fight for their rights, and people who struggle to overcome. I think of the smaller things in life, when people, but are huge to people, overcoming anxiety and taking that chance, whatever that chance might be, that risk, that healthy, positive risk that leads us on to better things. I think of Jane Austen. So there's a scene in one of Jane Austen's newest remakes of Pride and Prejudice where the main character, and of course I know that story so well, and now I can't even think of the main character's name. That is ridiculous. It will come to me, of course. can think of Mr. Darcy, but can I think of the heroine's name? No, I can't. But there's a scene where she's standing on a cliff and her dress is blowing in the wind. So when I think of courage, I think of a scene like that. This is such a very bad drawing. And someone told me recently, don't cut yourself down. Well, I'm not really trying to cut myself down when I say that's a bad drawing. I'm just kind of being honest. Like, I could do better than what I'm showing you here. And then I go off camera and I'll do better. Just this thing about being on camera is a little bit challenging at times. Gosh, that's gonna drive me crazy. And I know one of you out there is saying her name, the main character for Pride and Prejudice. I want to say her last name is Barrett, but that I don't know if that's right or not. Well, it will come to me. But anyways, she's on a cliff. Her dress is blowing in the wind. And I'll work on this a little bit more. So when I think of courage, I think of that coming to that end of that cliff, coming to that edge, and what will happen next? Will she take a leap? Will she step back? Will she find the answers as she's standing out there? Will she overcome that fear? What is she doing out there anyways? Speaking of films and courage and creating art off camera versus on camera, there once was a documentary called My 4-Year-Old Could Paint That. Maybe some of you have seen it. I found it very interesting. There was this 4-year-old girl, and her father was making, her father wasn't making the documentary. He brought in some documentary makers. And, Elizabeth Bennet, I got it. That's how my mind works. I jump around all the time. Elizabeth Bennet was the main character of Pride and Prejudice. And Mr. Darcy. Okay, so I'm going to erase her a little bit, but when I think of courage, I think about that taking that leap, facing that fear, stepping up to that very scary place, that very scary moment. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on her, get this looking better, get this cliff looking steeper. Wonder what you're drawing. I hope you're thinking about courage and how courageous you each are, because you are. You wouldn't be where you're at today without the courage to go on, to fight, to overcome, to keep on living. Sometimes that's the biggest thing of all, that courage to just keep on going. Okay, so I was saying about the 4-year-old. So My 4-Year-Old Could Paint That was the title of the documentary. And so this father claimed his 4-year-old might be a reincarnated Picasso because her paintings were so fabulous. So he would give her these huge canvases. She'd go to work, and these paintings were, not what you might typically see from a 4-year-old. So they brought in the cameras. They wanted to make this documentary on this incredible young 4-year-old who was making all these paintings, didn't even know who Picasso was. And lo and behold, the cameras start rolling. She refused to paint. She wouldn't paint at all. And the father was really adamant that she needed to paint. Like, get painting, come on, sweetie, you gotta paint. We have to show them what you can do, paint. And the more he did that, the less she would do anything. And when she would pick up the brush to paint, it was just, what you might think a 4-year-old might paint. So, anyways, then the cameras would stop rolling. They'd come back the next day, and there'd be this masterpiece. And so kind of the conclusion of this story was, who's painting the paintings? Is the dad painting them and doing some reproduction work like Picasso's, or is this 4-year-old really painting, and is she having some anxiety in front of the camera? So it's interesting an interesting watch, interesting story about this family, this man and his daughter. Okay, so I will tell you though that when the camera stops rolling, I do my own art, and it shows because it all looks a little bit similar. And I am no Picasso, but that's okay. We don't need another Picasso. We had one of him. We need one of each of us because our work is unique and different and special. So I'm going to keep working on my Elizabeth Browning up here on this cliff and see if I can make something more resembling my idea of courage. Right now she's just looking like black shadowy figure on top of some scribbles. That's really what art is. It's just the use of lines meeting lines, shades meeting shades. Okay, keep working on your idea of courage. You are brave and courageous, and keep going. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.